Hello, welcome to the episode of the Bubbs on Sports podcast. Today is Friday, October 13th. Hope everyone's having a good day so far and had a good rest of their day yesterday. Hope everybody had a good week. It is officially Friday. It is a Football Friday podcast as we've got a lot to get into today on the pod. We'll be getting you ready for another packed and exciting weekend of both college and NFL football. Some big games tomorrow in college football and some exciting and big games in the world of the NFL on Sunday and then also on Monday night. So exciting. It is already week 6. The NFL season is flying by. We've already hit week 6. The Giants will head up to Buffalo in a game that seems, I think, more unwinnable than the Jets going into Kansas City. I'll be honest here. I think if you were a Jets fan, you probably felt more optimistic about the Jets beating the Chiefs on Sunday night 2 weeks ago when the whole, off-the-field stuff with Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift was going on. The entire world, was against the Jets. They were fresh off that loss against New England. I think if you were a Jet fan, you probably felt more confident going into that game, and the confidence going into that game was extremely low than you do if you're a Giants fan on the road in Buffalo with Tyrod Taylor out there behind that offensive line. So we'll get into that. We'll get into the Jets-Eagles, 2 extremely tough matchups. We'll break down what both teams need to do to pull off the upset. I do not foresee a 2-0 week coming from the Jets and the Giants. I think both teams are going to have an extremely tough time coming away with the victory. I'm optimistic about the Jets, cautiously optimistic, I should say, although some injuries for the Jets, we'll get into those. We'll be a little bit quicker today, a little bit of a shorter podcast just due to timing, but we'll still break everything down. We'll get you all set up. MLB, postseason continues. NHL has begun over the last couple days. Connor Bedard, the number 1 overall pick from this past draft, the big topic around the NHL, got his first goal, got his first point against Pittsburgh. The next night, scored his first goal. The Devils got off to a good start last night. They took down the Red Wings. The Rangers got off to a flying start last night. It was a lot of fun watching that game as they get the job done 5-1 against Buffalo. A lot to like from the season opener. Again, it's one game of 82, but a lot to like if you're a Ranger fan walking out of there last night from the season opener up in Buffalo against a good, young, solid Buffalo team that you expect to make the postseason this year coming out of the Atlantic. And the Islanders will open up their 2023-2024 campaign coming up here as well. They will open up, I believe they open up tomorrow night against the Sabres. So a lot to look forward there as well in the hockey world as the Devils will continue tonight there on the front of a back-to-back against the Coyotes. So a lot to look forward to, a lot to be excited about. The NHL is here. MLB postseason continues. You've got baseball, as I mentioned. Phillies move on. Diamondbacks move on. Astros move on. They will face the Texas Rangers, so you got a little AL West battle. So a lot to get into today. We'll start with the football, though. So I'll get you my NFL game picks here. We'll be a little bit quicker than usual. Again, a little bit of a shorter episode. We'll also get into the Giants and the Bills. So Giants, Eagles, Bills, Giants. So want to spend some time on that. Chiefs last night picked up the win 19-8. It was ugly. I'll be honest, I didn't watch a ton of the game. I was watching the Rangers game, and then I had the Phillies-Braves game as well on. But the Chiefs did come away with a victory. It was an ugly win for them. It was a game that, if you're a Broncos fan, you kind of walk away frustrated, obviously, but it's one of those games where the defense held up. The defense was good. It was the offense and coaching that struggled. And, I mean, if this Broncos team was just competent on offense, they could have walked out of Arrowhead with a win because the Chiefs' offense last night was not that good, only putting up 19 points against the worst defense in Denver in the NFL. But they did come away with a victory. That's all that matters. So they get to 5-1 on the season while the Broncos drop to a dreaded 1-5 on the year. My game picks going into this week. So I am 52-26 overall. Now, I did predict last night's game correct. So I am technically 53-26 going into Sunday. So let's see what we can do here this week. Coming off a week, I went 9-5 last week. So I have now 4 straight weeks in a row of above 500 picks. I have not had a week yet this year where I've gone under 500. My worst week came in week 1, and I went 8-8. And I always say this, the hardest week to pick is week 1 because you're basing a lot of what you're picking off of last season, and things change year in and year out. So it's week 6. Let's get into it. So we'll open up here. Another London game, 9:30 a.m. Eastern. So more coffee, bagels, and football for all of us that'll be tuning into this game. Ravens, Titans. Ravens 3-2. Titans 2-3. Ravens 4.5-point favorites. I like Baltimore in this one. They're coming off a really tough loss against Pittsburgh, a game that they should have won. They didn't. Late game mistakes, late game just struggles, not being able to put up enough points against Pittsburgh. Rough day for the Ravens offense, coming off a really tough divisional loss. I think they're going to come out of this game out of the gate. I think they're come out frustrated. I think they're going to come out with a lot of energy. I know they're going out to London. It's always interesting to see how teams play in these games. You saw the Bills last week go out there and they were sleepwalking pretty much for the entire 60 minutes. I don't think that'll be the case for Baltimore. They left on Monday. They've been there all week. They're coming off a really tough loss, trying to get that bad taste out of their mouth. They're the better football team. I'll take the Ravens, 23-17 Ravens, covering the 4.5 over Tennessee. Game number 2, Falcons-Commanders. Falcons 3-2. Commanders 2-3, coming off a brutal loss on Thursday night against Chicago, where the Bears and Justin Fields look like a playoff team. And that's never a good thing when you make the Bears look that good. So they're coming off a tough loss. They hit the road, have had 11 days now, 11 days to prepare for this one. Looking to bounce back on a game, or 10 days, whatever it is, 10, 11 days, whatever it is between, I think it's 11 days, whatever. They've had some time to prepare for this one. They're heading on the road against an Atlanta team that picked up a big AFC South win last week over the Houston Texans on a last-second field goal. I'm going to take the Falcons in this one. Although I do think it's going to be a close game. I think the Commanders, I've seen too much inconsistency. You had those games against Philly where they played really well. They beat Denver. They obviously beat Arizona. And then they've had games like they did last week, and they had a game like they did against Buffalo where they look lost offensively and defensively. They aren't syncing. Coaching isn't good. Very inconsistent through 5 games. I'm going to take the Falcons to get the 4-2. AFC South gets more or NFC South, I should say, because they're not in the AFC. NFC South, rather, gets a little bit more interesting. They get the 4-2. Tampa doesn't have an easy matchup this week. The NFC South and AFC South, 2 interesting divisions. I'll take the Falcons in this game. Low scoring, 21-17 Falcons. Plus, Falcons cover the 2.5. I'll take Atlanta. Next up, we got the Bengals and the Seahawks. Was last week the start of a run for Cincinnati. 2-3 on the season. Seattle 3-1. Cincy 3-point favorites. If this game was in Seattle, I would take the Seahawks, but it's not. It's in Cincinnati. I do think the Bengals found a little bit of a groove last week. I get it was against Arizona, but still, Arizona has played some teams tough this year. We've seen it. They've been in a couple of their games this season against a couple good teams. So I'm going to take the Bengals here. I'm still a believer in the Bengals. I still believe they're a really good team. I don't think this slow start is really what they are. They got a really good win last week. They're playing a lot of energy. I think they're going to come out in this game off of a big win. I feel like this is a big game for them, because if you can win this game, you get to 3-3. Now that's assuming Burrow plays well and they win this game with offense, not a 10-3 victory where the defense dominates. If they win this game, get to 3-3, 2 straight wins, I think you start to like your chance if you're Cincinnati and really turning the season around. Beating Arizona is one thing. Beating a 3-1 Seattle team's another thing. I think they get the job done. I'll take the Bengals, continuing their momentum from last week. Bengals 27. Seahawks 23. Bengals get the win, cover the 3. They come away with their 3rd victory of the season. Moving on here, Colts-Jaguars. Colts 3-2, Jaguars 3-2. Big AFC South matchup. No Anthony Richardson in this one. We will see Gardner Minshew will take the ball. Will be under center, I should say, for Indy on Sunday, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, because if you remember, Gardner Minshew went on the road and beat Baltimore. So as much as there is part of me, as much as I want to take Gardner Minshew in the Indianapolis Colts. Because I think we all, like, if you're an NFL fan, I think you like Gardner Minshew against his former team. As much as I want to take the Colts on the road, Minshew pulling off another upset, I got to go with Jacksonville. They look great in London. They went into London 1-2. You were kind of wondering, okay, is this team good? Is this team legit? They beat Atlanta, which was one thing. But then to take down Buffalo, where they were pretty much the better team for all 4 quarters, that was a whole other thing. They looked really good. That was probably their best performance of the season. And even in that game, there was some mistakes. They had some penalties. They had some turnovers. The Bills couldn't capitalize. No matter which way you view last week's win, whether you say, oh, his Bills just played really bad, or you really say Jaguars played really good, either way, they came out of London 2-0. They're 3-2 now back in the States. I'm going to take the Jaguars. Want to take the Colts, but I'm going to take Jacksonville. Jacksonville 27, Colts 20. Colts 24. Jaguars don't cover the 4.5. I'm going to take a close game here. Colts plus 4.5. Jaguars get the win, though. All right, moving on. Dolphins, Panthers. Dolphins 4-1. Panthers 0-5. Dolphins, 2 touchdown favorites at 14. Taking Miami. Carolina's been abysmal. Rookie quarterback struggling. They haven't been good. Miami's one of the best teams in football. They dominated the Giants. Miami all day long. 31-14 Miami. Cover the 14, whatever that is. I'll take Miami. Bears, Vikings. Bears 1-4, Vikings 1-4. On paper, this seems like a game where it's like, man, this is going to be a good game. Like, this is going to be a good game because it's 2 bad teams, meaning they're 2 1-4 teams. Something's got to give. No Justin Jefferson for Minnesota. It's like, this is such a weird game to pick. Vikings are 3-point favorites. They're on the road. This is a really weird game to pick because there is no Justin Jefferson. The Vikings have an abysmal. The Bears don't have a running back. Everybody's out for the Bears. So these 2 teams are missing key pieces. You know, the Bears coming off a big Thursday night win. How much of that was maybe the start of some momentum was of that for them? How much of that was just one game on the schedule that they dominated? I just don't. I mean, even without Jefferson, like, I just can't see the Bears winning this game. I just don't. I mean, I know the Vikings have been so bad. I'm going to take the Vikings still here. I am. I mean, I still don't believe in the Bears. Not that I believe in the Vikings, but if I had to take my chances, I'm going to take my chances with Kirk Cousins and the Vikings over a Bears team that I haven't seen enough from Justin Fields. So I'm going to take Minnesota. I think this game's going to be ugly. Give me Minnesota 21-20. Give me them winning by 1. I don't think they cover the 3. I'll take the Vikings. This is going to be an ugly football game. Strap in, folks. I'll take the Vikings. Niners, Browns. Niners 5-0. Browns 2-2. Niners 9.5-point favorites. What more has to be said about this San Francisco team? They are the best team in football. I don't think there's much debate. They're 5-0. Brock Purdy's playing great. They got weapons all over the field. Defensively, they're great. No Deshaun Watson for Cleveland. They're banged up. I'm taking the Niners. Don't care. It's on the road. Niners all day long. Niners 30. Browns 20. Niners by 10. Cover the 9.5. They get the win. Couple more here. Texans, Saints. Texans 2-3. Saints 3-2. New Orleans 2.5-point road favorites. Interesting here. The Texans are the home underdogs, despite my feeling of them coming away with this win. I'm going to take the Texans here. They're coming off a tough loss last week in Atlanta. A game you feel like they should have won. They lost it late. Lost to a game-winning field goal. They're the better team. C.J. Stroud still playing great. There's still a lot to like. Houston still got a lot to play for. I'm going to take the Texans at home. Texans over New Orleans. Gets the job done. 23-20 Texans plus 2.5. Plus 2 Houston with the win. Couple more games here. Raiders, Patriots. I'm going to take the Raiders. Raiders 2-3. Patriots 1-4. Patriots are abysmal. Belichick's got to be on the hot seat at some point. I'm going to take Vegas. Lions, Buccaneers. Lions 4-1. Bucks 3-1. One of the more exciting games of the week. Detroit 3-point favorites on the road. It's a big test for Tampa. Big test. They lost to Philly. Another big test here against Detroit. I'm going to take the Lions on the road. Like them a little bit better here. Cardinals, Rams. I'll take the Rams at home over the 1-4 Arizona Cardinals. Give me LA. Those are my picks. We'll get to Cowboys-Chargers on Monday. Again, Ravens over the Titans, Falcons over the Commanders. I got the Bengals winning, Jaguars winning, Dolphins winning, Vikings winning, Niners winning, Texans winning, Raiders winning, Lions winning, Rams winning. Now we move on to the locals, the Giants and the Bills, and the Jets and Eagles. We'll start with the Jets and the Eagles. Eagles come into this one 5-0. Jets come into this one 2-3. 4:25 p.m. Eastern, MetLife Stadium on Fox. According to ESPN Analytics Matchup Predictor, they're giving the Eagles a 65.3% chance of winning, and they're giving the Jets a 34.5% chance of coming away with a victory. The Eagles are the 6-point road favorites. The Jets enter this one almost a home touchdown underdog. 6-point dogs at home. Over-under set at 41. Sunday, 4:25, MetLife, Jets, Eagles. Can the Jets finally beat Philly? Can they? 0-12 all time. Some really disappointing losses mixed in. They're going to have to contain Jalen Hurts. They're going to have to watch out for this Eagles pass rush. The Eagles are without two big pieces in Jalen Carter, rookie defensive tackle, and they're also without veteran corner, their best corner, Darius Slay, one of the better corners in football. They've been banged up in the secondary. They're banged up again. The Jets are also banged up. DJ Reed, Brandon Echols will both miss the game. Justin Hardy as well will be out, so the Jets are missing some key pieces. It looks like Sauce will play. He did pop up in the injury report, so both these teams are dealing with injuries. To me, for the Jets, you got to continue to run the ball. I think you got to let it loose with Zach. I think last week they were a little bit too conservative, especially in the red zone. Take chances to the end zone. Get the ball in your playmakers' hands. Get the ball to Garrett Wilson, so much more. No Darius Slay in this game. Garrett Wilson's going to have opportunities. Get the ball in his hand. I've loved the way they've used Conklin. I want to see more of that. They've utilized the tight ends the way they should have. Do it more in the red zone, and I think they can come away with a victory if they do those things. They've got to find a way to contain Jalen Hurts. And as much as it pains me to say this, I think that's going to be the problem for the Jets on Sunday. This team has had major problems stopping running quarterbacks. For some reason, they just struggle with it. Josh Allen has had so much success against this team running the football. We saw Russell Wilson last week have some success running the football despite that one fumble late, although he probably was going to throw that ball away. We saw Mahomes, you want to talk about the penalties, fine, but Mahomes converted he had converted a third down and 15 and third down and 20 or whatever. 2 third down and 20s with his legs. I think Hurts is going to have I think Hurts, that's going to be the X factor for the Eagles. I think they're going to run a lot of things. They're going to do a lot of design quarterback runs with him. The tush push, that's a big matchup to watch. Can the Jets stop that? Pressure on Hurts is big, containing all those weapons on the outside. They're a really good football team. They're 5-0. They're 5-0. I hope I'm wrong, but I'm going to take the Eagles 24-20. I don't think they cover the 6. I do think this is a game the Jets keep close. I'm getting a similar vibe to Kansas City where it's like everybody thinks Eagles are going to win this game, rightfully so. They're 5-0 going up against a 2-3 team. They're more talented at pretty much almost every position if you look at it. They're the better football team on paper. So, similar to Kansas City, I do think the Jets are going to keep this close, though. For some reason, I think this year the Jets have done well against teams that are better than them. I mean, they did well against Buffalo. They played well against Kansas City. You can make an argument their two most well-played games were against those two teams. I mean, you could make an argument they played better against Kansas City than they did against Denver, despite the result. It just so happens that Kansas City is better than Denver, and even with the Jets playing really well, they came away with a victory. They can't start slow either. You can't let Philly get out to a 13-0, 14-0, 17-0 lead where you're playing comeback the entire game. Just not going to work. So start fast. I'll get more into this tomorrow on my In the Trench with Gangrene podcast. Start fast. Got a spy, put a spy on him. Quincy Williams, something, contain Hurts, especially from his running ability. One of the best dual-threat quarterbacks in football, his ability to, win games with his arms and win games with his legs. If the Jets can do some of those things, I think they have a chance, but it's not going to be easy. They got to be smart. They got to play clean football. You got to play a very clean game. No turnovers. It's one of these games where you can't start slow. You got to be almost perfect to beat a team like Philly. Similar to them, they were almost perfect against Kansas City, and they still found a way to lose. You got to be almost perfect against good teams like this. And I'll say this, too. I'm not saying the Jets are going to win this game because I don't think they'll win. I think the Eagles are going to win 24-20. I do think the Jets will. I'll take the Jets plus 6, but I think the Eagles win because I do think the Jets will keep this game interesting. But if the Jets want to make the playoffs this year, you got to win games like this. It's games like this against really good teams, against these Eagles teams. Whenever they, when they play the Bills on the road again, it's games like this when they play the Dolphins, right? They still got to play them twice. As much as those games are really difficult, it's games like this where if you want to make the playoffs, you got to win games like this, right? They already lost that Kansas City game, but you got to win games where you're not supposed to win, right? And if Saleh wants to gain respect to the fan base, he's got to outcoach Sirianni, and he's got to find a way to put his team in a spot to beat a 5-0 undefeated team that was just in the Super Bowl a year ago. So it's a big game, very big game, at home before the bye. Let it all out. You get the bye week after this. You can find a way to win this game. You go into the bye week 3-3. The whole mindset on this team changes and the season changes. Because then coming out of the bye, you've got the Giants. You can easily get over 500. You don't want to get caught looking ahead. But this is a huge game. Big game for the Jets. Find a way to get the win. Now, Giants-Bills. Not much I got to say here. No Daniel Jones. The offensive line continues to be a problem. Brian Dable back at Buffalo. Giants 1-4, Bills 3-2. This is like the worst case scenario for Buffalo, or for the Giants rather. They're going on the road. That's hard to begin with. Going on the road in Buffalo is difficult. They're going on the road with a backup quarterback. That's even worse. And they're also facing a team that is coming off a really tough loss last week, where you know they're going to want to get the bad taste out of their mouth. So this is like the worst case scenario. Prime time, going on the road with a backup quarterback against a team that had a really tough loss last week that's going to come out frustrated and angry. This game could get ugly fast. Again, this is giving me like the vibes of the Chiefs-Giants game or the Chiefs-Jet game, where going in you were thinking, oh God, this might be a 42-6 blowout where we're talking about this game for years as the second ghost game or whatever. Is this game going to go up there in the ranks of all-time worst games for the Giants? Is it going to be known as the Tyrod Taylor game or whatever? It could get bad, and I think it is going to get bad. There's not much the Giants can do here. You're going to have to obviously, if you can try and force Josh Allen into those turnover-worthy plays, I think that's how you can find a way to win. Look, Tyrod has a little bit of mobility, so does Daniel Jones. It starts up front. If they can't protect Tyrod, he's not going to have success just like Daniel Jones. I think if the Giants, if they want to find a way to win this game, like if you want to come away with the win here, if there's any chance, they forced turnovers last week. They've had a pick six. You want to do that again, you get the job done. Like the Jets, that's how they beat Buffalo. They forced Josh Allen into 4 turnovers. If you can find a way to do that, and your offense can just be competent, and you can keep this game, like if this game stays under 20 or around 20 points, the Giants have a chance. They have a chance. If they can force Allen into turnovers like they did last week, they have a chance in this game. But I just don't see that happening. I don't think they have much of a chance. ESPN Analytics Matchup Predictor says it all. They're giving the Bills a 94.9% chance of winning. They're giving the Giants a 5.1% chance. I don't care how much criticism you want to give Daniel Jones. What is Tyrod Taylor going to be able to do behind this offensive line? And even with the Bills having all these injuries, defensively, it doesn't take much for this for a defense to stop this Giants offense. That's just the blunt way to put it. Bills, they're 15-point favorites. Over-under set at 44. I'll say they don't cover the 15. I'll take the Bills. I don't know if I want to say they cover the 15 because it's such a big, big number. And the Giants last week, they did lose by exactly 15. The Dolphins covered the 12.5. They lost 31-16, so they did lose exactly by 15. I'll take the Giants plus 15. I'll take the Bills 31-17. It'll be a 14-point game. That's what I'm going to say. 31-17 Bills. Maybe a garbage time touchdown gets it up to that mark. So I'll take the Giants plus 15. But the Bills win by 2 scores anyway. Buffalo all day. Over on the over-under of 44. 31 of those 48 points I got coming from Buffalo. Josh Allen. It's going to be a long night if you're a New York Giants fan. It really will be. So I'll take the Bills. All right. So those are my picks. Those are my game picks. You also got some hockey over the weekend. Islanders, Devils tonight against the Coyotes. Islanders tomorrow night against the Sabres. You got Rangers tomorrow night against the Blue Jackets, then Monday night against the Coyotes. No baseball. ALCS starts this weekend on Saturday Sunday with the Astros Rangers, and then Monday we'll open up the Diamondbacks Phillies. By the way, I'm gonna say the World Series is Phillies Rangers. That's what I want to see. I don't want to see Astros back in the World Series. So I'm rooting for a Phillies Rangers World Series. Because I'm rooting for the Phillies. I want to see them make the World Series. I want to see them win it. I'm on the Phillies bandwagon for the postseason. So I'm rooting for them. And I don't want to see the same World Series as last year. And I don't like the Astros. So I want the Phillies to be in. I don't want the Astros to be in. So I'll take the Phillies Rangers. I think that is the opportunity. I think that is a chance to be a super entertaining World Series because you've got two extremely high-powered offenses. Rangers have been great. Phillies have been great. That is an opportunity to be an excellent series. So look out for that. So MLB postseason, college football as well. Massive, massive game tomorrow as you've got Washington and Oregon at 3:30 on ABC. Washington, small 3-point favorites. Oregon, 8th-ranked team in the country. Washington, 7th-ranked team in the country. It all starts tomorrow with College Game Day, obviously, on ESPN. You got Notre Dame, USC. Can Notre Dame lose to another ranked team? That'll be a fun game, 7:30 on NBC. Miami that Miami play last week against Georgia Tech might have been the worst thing I've ever seen. That would have been the worst. And I watched, as I mentioned, Adam Gase for 2 years. That might have been the worst coaching moment I've ever seen. Mario Cristobal electing to run the ball with 30 seconds left. No timeouts for Georgia Tech. They fumble. Georgia Tech wins on a last-second touchdown. So they get North Carolina, top 25 matchup there. You've also got UCLA, Oregon State. That's a top 25 matchup. But the big game tomorrow, all eyes will be on that one, and that's Oregon, Washington. Tennessee, Texas A&M happening at the same time. That's also an underrated, pretty solid game. So, but two undefeated teams, Oregon, Washington, two top 10 teams. That's going to be awesome. Looking forward to that. That'll be, I think, up there with some of the best games we've seen so far. So look out for that tomorrow. Hockey, football, NFL Sunday. So much to look forward to. Enjoy your weekend. We'll see you back here on the flip side on Monday. As always, hope you enjoyed it, and thanks for watching.